All right, good morning. Let's get straight to it. Hmm. All right, we got a 1 hour sell on Great British Pound versus US dollar. Then we targeted 1.31842. 1.31842. That's one, two. Hmm. Grab the template for this call. All right, so this is 60-minute confirmation. 4.18 risk. Entry at 33,005. 32,283. 28 pips. And take profit at 31,842. That's 416 pips. All right, here we go. First call of the day, Great British Pound versus the United States dollar. 60-minute confirmation, market execution sell. Entry price is 1.33005. Stop loss is 1.33283. Take profit is 1.31842 for 116 pips. Risk to reward ratio of 4.18. Again, that's Great British Pound versus the United States dollar on a sell. Okay, we're already in Great British Pound versus Australian dollar. That's doing quite well for us. All right, so this is not going to be a good trade for us. We have gray, aqua, blue. It's consolidation on top of price action. We won't be entering that. Kaito already hit take profit. HG has the same look. You've got gray, aqua, blue. That's consolidation. We're not entering that trade. United States dollar versus South African rand. We have blue, gray, aqua. That is a downtrend. We're entering a sell to 17.15748. United States dollar to South African rand is an exotic Forex currency. You can find that on both liquid brokers and at HFX. Both of those brokers are located in the description to this video. Or if you have your own broker, it's a pretty common exotic currency. You should be able to find it there as well. $4.33 risks. Entry at 25318. Stop at 27528. That's for 221 pips. And take profit of 17548 for 957 pips. Second call of the morning. United States dollar to South African rand, 15-minute confirmation. Market execution sell. Entry price is 17.25318. Stop loss is 17.27528 for 221 pips. Take profit is 17.17548 for 957 pips. Risk reward ratio of 4.33. All right, we've got Turbo versus Tether. Already invalidated the trade. And we also have gray, blue, aqua. That's consolidation. We're not entering that trade. We have RT1 that already took off on us. We're not entering that trade. We have M2K1 already took off on us, not entering that trade. And we have Australian dollar versus Japanese yen. Wrong configuration for us. That's gray, aqua, blue, and it's already taken off. So we're not entering that. The euro versus the Czech dollar. Already almost a 50% to take profit. Not entering that trade either. HO1. All right, so this one we will enter. This is gray, aqua, and blue. This is the futures on heating oil. Now for futures, I use Top Step X. There are other brokers that have these as well. But this is a futures trade, 2.4632 on heating oil. So this is HO1. It's a 15-minute confirmation buy with a risk of 5.26. Entry at 38.43. Stop at 36.93. For 150 pips. And take profit at 46.32. That's for 789. right, here's your next call of the day. This is HO1 for heating oil. 15-minute confirmation, market execution buy. Entry price is 2.3843. Stop loss is 2.3693 for 150 pips. Take profit is 2.4632 for 789 pips and a risk to reward ratio of 5.26. And we have New Zealand dollar versus Japanese yen. This is not the configuration we want. We have gray, aqua, blue. That's consolidation. We won't be entering that trade. We have Kaito versus the United States dollar on the 30-minute that already hit take profit. We have RB1, which is another futures. We have gray, aqua, blue. That's consolidation. Won't be entering that. Have NG1, same pattern, gray, aqua, blue. That's consolidation. We won't be entering that. Again, hit the 50 EMA, took off the other direction. There's a reason why we avoid those setups. All right, we got RT1 on the 30-minute. It is in our favor, so we will take it. So we're going to enter, targeting 2534.8. Now, RT1, RTY1, if you're not familiar, is the Russell 2000. And we're going to enter that shortly. It's a lesser known U.S. stock exchange. Trades out of Chicago. Right, so RTY1. This is for the Russell 2000. It is a buy. All right, 2.56 risk. Entry at 25.2660. Stop at 25.2340. That's for 32 ticks. Take profit at 25.3480. And that's for 82 ticks. It's one of the things I really enjoy about TradingView is that even when you're trading futures, it will give you the pip equivalent of a tick. Ticks is what you use to measure the length of profit for a future. Okay, so RT1, Russell 2000, 30-minute confirmation, market execution buy, entry at 2526.60, stop loss at 2523.40 for 32 pips. Take profit at 2534.80 for 82 pips. Risk to reward ratio of 2.56. Again, that's RT1, the Russell 2000. And we have M2K1. This is the micro or the mini Russell 2000. We're going to enter that. Targeting 2534.2. M2K1. This is the mini Russell 2000. 30-minute confirmation buy. Risk on this is 2.33. Matter of fact, it just gave us a slightly better entry, and we're going to take it. 34.2. 2.53. Entry at 25, 26, 2060. Stop at 25, 23.6. That's for 30 pips. And take profit at 2534.2. That's for 76 pips. All right, next call of the morning. Mini Russell 2000 M2K1, 30-minute confirmation, market execution buy. Your entry price is 2526.60. Stop loss is 2523.60 for 30 pips. Take profit is 2534.20 for 76 pips, and a risk to reward ratio of 2.53. With that, we're caught up for the calls that came in pre-session. Next entry to the market is in about 7 minutes. At 7:55, we may get more futures calls. And at 8 o'clock, the top of the hour, is a 4-hour candle for the market proper. Oops. I needed that. So it did not hit overnight. Let's go ahead and check where we are in our other positions. All right. Hold on here. Looks like we're quite a ways, about 50% of the way to euro versus the Hungarian florin. That might take another day to hit take profit, but I like the way it's looking. It went up on us. So US dollar must be going on a tear right now. So we're going to take a look at that right now, actually. So dollar is on a rally. It rallied the entire Asian session, but it's in consolidation. I think we're going to end up getting a fall off of the US dollar. Let's move up to the daily and take a look. All right, so we're in a downtrend on the US dollar on the daily. Blue, gray, aqua. We've recovered a little bit of price, but it crested here, and that's a lower high. If you can't already tell, this is selling off. We also have an uncovered wick right here. So what I would imagine is that price is going to decline, break this low, and continue its decline. Because the dollar was traded at 104 at one point. Now we're down at 98. It's probably going to continue so long as the U.S. government is still closed and we're not collecting revenue. It's certainly going to take a hit on November the 1st when the government is unable to pay benefits to people on food stamps. See, it's October the 28th. The 1st is Saturday. It also means that on November the 5th, for the first time in God knows how long, the United States government won't be able to pay its troops. And it'll be the first payday that, well, the third payday that federal employees, civilians, are not being paid. It's going to cause some issues. Now, the continuing resolution that the Democrats were fighting against from the Republicans was due to fund the government through November the 20th. So even if they approved it today, there's a couple of problems. Number one, open enrollment for Obamacare starts on November the 1st. So that's not enough time for insurance companies to code on their side to make sure that subsidies are included. And they've probably already removed the ones that were there. So when people go into re-up for the year, their premiums are going to be much higher without the benefit of the tax credit to offset it. So for those that were getting the insurance premiums for free, essentially an advance credit of their year's tax return, that's no longer going to be a thing on Saturday. And then by November the 20th, the continuing resolution that the Republicans have that's clean based off of the last year of Biden's administration will expire, which means that no one really has a valid argument for keeping the government closed. So we would have wasted all of this time. And of course, by then, it will by far and large be the longest shutdown in U.S. history. I honestly don't see them opening back up before Thanksgiving. I think both sides are going to be hard asses and push this almost to Christmas before they decide to reopen. And if they're not going to have much of a choice just because of the optics of it to keep the government closed into 2026, I don't think that's going to be a viable option for anyone. All right, so with that, and some background, I don't see anything interesting. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin on the 1 hour because I'm looking for confirmation of an uptrend there. So essentially what I'm looking for is aqua, gray, and blue, which confirms an uptrend on Bitcoin on the 1 hour. We know it exists on all the lower time frames, and we know that TradingView currently considers Bitcoin a very strong buy. So if you drill down, you go to 1 hour, it's considered a strong buy. So that's good for us. And we are in profit on the trades that we took on Bitcoin. versus Tether, Bitcoin versus the United States dollar, Ethereum versus Tether, Ethereum versus the US dollar, and Ethereum Classic versus Tether, and Ethereum Classic versus the US dollar from last night. And all of those posted at 4 a.m. right at the end of the live. So congratulations of you that were on with me around 4 a.m.ish and got into those trades. For those of you that are a little skittish, take your profit. I mean, profit is profit. You can't go broke from smashing blue so long as you have a profit that's larger than the spread taken out by your broker. And you probably made more money on those 6 trades than you've made in quite some time if you're not a profitable trader. We're going to stick with it, though. So it's now 7:56. I did not hear a ding, which means we likely do not have any calls for the futures market. In a little over 3 minutes, we're going to have opportunities to enter the market proper. We're at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's 30 minutes before the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange. We're in pre-market trading from 7:30 in the morning till 8:30 in the morning. We'd like to get started early. Welcome to the stream. For those of you who joined us on Numo TV, Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. We're also live on Apple TV, iHeartRadio TV, and Amazon Radio. I like Kick, but one of the things that annoys me is there's a lot of people that like to come and spam in your channel. I don't like that part. All right, about a minute left to go. I expect us to start getting more frequent calls as we advance towards the opening of the New York Stock Exchange. It is unlikely we get any indices calls right now unless we get some really huge vector moves on one of the indices. It doesn't seem to be much moving, even though it's largely negative for the day. And there really isn't any major news popping off until 7:30 this evening, with consumer price index information coming out for the Australian dollar. All right, here we go. 2 immediate calls. Let's take a look. Well, 3. We have a buy on Australian dollar versus Japanese yen. We're going to wait for that to form because I think the price is going to come back for us a little bit. Normally does. And we have Japanese yen versus the US dollar. We're not going to take that because we have gray, aqua blue. So price is likely to go up, hit the 50 of the 200 EMA, and then come back down again. Not touching that with a long held spoon. And we have the euro versus South African rand. Again, it's a 30-minute confirmation. So at 8:30, it will mark off the trade and we'll take it. Price will likely climb back up and then give us the mark for the trade. So we got two trades coming up at 8:30. One on an Australian dollar versus Japanese yen, the other on euro versus South African rand as sells. We're minute in, then it's unlikely we get anything else for the market proper. Next entry is going to be at 8:10 a.m. for the futures market, and another one at 8:15 a.m. for the rest of the market. Volume and volatility for all the trades we in will substantially increase at 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time when the New York Stock Exchange starts trading. There's about an hour and a half of overlay time where New York and London are open at the same time. All right, so with that, we wait 12 minutes to the quarter of the hour, about 7 minutes to a re entry to the futures market if one exists. Just as a review, so far today we have 5 calls. We have a 60-minute sell on Great British Pound Sterling versus the United States dollar. We have a 15-minute sell on the United States dollar versus the South African rand. We have a 15-minute buy on HO1 heating oil, which is a futures. We have a buy on RT1, the Russell 2000, on the 30-minute confirmation. And we have a buy on M2K1, the mini Russell 2000, on the 30-minute confirmation. I'm the Pit Messiah, your host for the New York session for October the 28th, 2025. The Quiet Storm Live trading sessions are held every weekday, Monday through Friday, from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Central Standard Time for the London session, and from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. for the New York session. If you haven't already done so, I would appreciate it if you would follow the channel, like the video, and turn on those notifications to keep abreast of when we do go live in the market. Let's see another ding. What is that? Render versus Tether. Okay. Not an issue. considering where we entered. I don't know why my next door neighbor. Oh, I do know why. Both him and his lady friend literally nonstop smoke weed. I've never seen anyone with as much weed as they have, but they're blaring their TV as loud as hell first thing in the morning. So thankfully, I'm far enough from it where you guys can't hear it, but I can hear it, and it's annoying me. I'm fine with you enjoying what you want to enjoy in your own home. I don't want to enjoy it with you. All right, about another 7 minutes left to go to the quarter of the hour, 8:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. Coming up on a minute and a half for possible entries into the futures market. We'll see about that shortly. Looking more and more like I should have already entered those trades, particularly South African Rand versus the Euro, because it's taking off on us. I just prefer to see the trade set up. All right, so we have a sell on 6J1, and we have an order filled on the Euro versus the Czech dollar. So take profit hit on Euro versus Czech dollar. Congratulations to those of you that took that trade. And we have a sell on Japanese yen. It's the futures on Japanese yen. We're going to be entering that trade as well. So a 30-minute confirmation. So that'll paint that off in the next candle. I'm wondering why it's not showing it immediately like it used to. Not that I mind, I'm fine with it. Just not used to it. All right, it's fine. So we got 3 bars, 3 trades in queued on the 30-minute confirmation. Those will mark off. 2 other will mark off at 8:30. One will mark off at 9 o'clock. And we'll enter those 3 trades. Stick at Tuesday. All right, it's now 8:15 in the morning. No immediate calls for the market proper. It's got about 2 more minutes before trading gets through all our assets. If it doesn't call anything, then our next entry to the market will be at 8:25 a.m. Central Standard Time for the futures market. It did at 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time for the opening of the New York Stock Exchange. Hmm. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. So, got 59 people watching on Nemo TV. We're day trading, waiting for the New York Stock Exchange to open. If you haven't already done so, I'd appreciate it if you drop a follow to the channel. That way you keep alive and abreast of when I do go live in the market. So we do 2 sessions per weekday. We have the London session from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then we have the New York session from 7:30 in the morning to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Coming right up on the time. Nope, 5 more minutes. All right, our Bitcoin trade has moved. Wonderful. Closer and closer to take profit. Remember, for this, we're going for 115,089 pips. Now, if that's the case, that also means that our other trades are probably near take profit as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. So we have Bitcoin versus US dollar, the spot trade, that's up. We have Ethereum Classic, that's up. Ethereum Classic versus Tether, that's up. We have Ethereum versus US dollar, that's up. And we have Ethereum versus Tether, that's also up. But it looks like Bitcoin is going to hit first. Make this bigger so it's easier to see. That was RT1 on the 15-minute. All right, about 5 minutes and 20 seconds left to go to the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange. With how fast Bitcoin is moving, it is very possible we hit take profit on the trade we literally just took on Bitcoin right before the opening of the New York Stock Exchange. And we're in both the perpetual and the spot version of Bitcoin. So there's going to be a nice chunk of profit and a nice chunk of pips. Between the two, over 230,000 pips in play. What that basically means dollar-wise is if you were to take 0.01, which is the smallest lot size you can take on most brokers on this type of leverage, you should be around $1,150.89 in profit for Bitcoin. Slightly more than that for Tether. So if you leverage correctly and you have both trades, you should make about $2,300. Of course, that's going to be different for those of you that are trading in another currency, but I trade in US dollars. I'm stationed in the United States. Just under 3 minutes left to go to the opening bell on the New York Stock Exchange. Still watching a pretty impressive rally on Bitcoin, at least for the last 30 minutes. Lots of push on the buy side. I do wonder why it stalled out though. Is there an order block there? Let's take a look. No. So this is just straight up buy. So we hit a buy side order block. We have the cross of the EMAs here. The trade was called on the next candle. The next candle marked off the trade is when we entered. It came back down slightly in the stop loss territory. Did a higher low. Came all the way up. Came down again. And then took off. So yeah, this may happen after the opening bell, but it's not going to happen before then. Not in a minute and a half. And hopefully we don't get a reversal. We just get the push to take profit. About 1 minute left to go to the opening bell. Buckle up. There's going to be a little bit of a wild ride. If you've never traded at the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange, it's a little bit of a different experience because you can see the trades just moving a hell of a lot faster. And that's about to be what happens. Again, you got money from the London Stock Exchange and the New York Stock Exchange in the market at the same time for a full hour and a half. So if you've guessed the right direction, this is the time to kind of clean up and make a lot of profit. You can still make profit between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. when the market slows down, but I do not recommend that for a new trader. You need to be pretty experienced to be able to consistently pull that off. Now we have the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange. And just like that, you see how fast things are moving. All right, we'll come back to Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the trades that already got called off and see whether or not we have our entries. All right, we have an entry for Australian dollar versus Japanese yen. We're going to take that on a long, targeting 100.305. But to shorten up that stop. Where are we? Here. And this is a 30-minute confirmation buy. Entry price, it's the 3.22 risk. Entries at 99.793. Stop loss is at 99.634. That's going to be 416 pips. Take profit is going to be at 100.305. That's 451 pips. I hear you, man. Australian dollar versus the Japanese yen, 30-minute confirmation, market execution buy. Entry price is 99.793. Stop loss is 99.634 for 16 pips. Take profit is 100.305 for 51 pips. Risk to reward ratio of 3.22. All right, moving on. We have the euro versus the South African rand. It's already taken off on us, so we're not going to enter that trade. All right, so call out a long on Canadian dollar versus Japanese yen. We will enter that when it marks off. And we have take profit SMAP on a Great British Pound versus Australian dollar. We just entered that trade earlier for 94 pips. Congratulations for those of you that took that. Got to take profit smash. Great British Pound to Australian dollar for 94 pips. Again, congratulations. Let's go ahead and get that recorded. That's win number 931 for the year. brings us to 3,730,699 pips, one year to date. We got M2K1. Worry about that. Did retrace on us, which is fine. And those two trades will. It hasn't drawn yet. Okay, that's fine. That being the case, let's go back to Bitcoin. Slight retracement in price, which is fine. Still in profit. If you haven't already done so, you can take your stop loss, move that to entry price to make it a risk-free trade for Bitcoin. Same thing if you're on Bitcoin versus the US dollar. Move your stop loss to entry price to lock in your profit. All right, so it's currently 8:37 in the morning. Waiting for our next entry in the market. That'll be the futures market at 8:40 a.m. Central Standard Time, a little less than 3 minutes from now. Next entry for the market proper is at 8:45 a.m. Central Standard Time, about 7 minutes from now. Not doing half bad at all. So that gets us to a sell on Great British Pound versus the United States dollar, a sell on the United States dollar versus South African rand, a buy on heating oil, a buy on the Russell 2000, a buy on the mini Russell 2000, a buy on Australian dollar versus Japanese yen, and take profit smash on the Great British Pound versus the Australian dollar. Another ding. Let's see what we got. R21 and MK21 stop loss. Mhm. So I don't really like that setup on 6J1, mostly because the EMAs are too close. It gives me pause it's going to use this as support and then take off the other direction. I don't like that at all. We have the same thing on Canadian dollar versus Japanese yen. We need space, so we're not taking that. We're at about 3.5 minutes left to the quarter of the hour. No new futures calls. Let's take a look at what happened to indices at the opening bell. All right, so positive action on US markets. What about precious metals? Still negative on the day on silver, gold, platinum, and palladium. Also negative on the day for oil, which is irritating because we're in sales on both of those. That's quite a rally on natural gas. It's up 13%. Which I guess does make sense. I mean, it is getting colder up north. People are using natural gas because that's how they heat themselves up there. All right, here we go. 8:45 coming right up. There goes the push on Bitcoin. Go ahead and give us what we want to see. Let's go. You like profit. More, a little more. Almost there. Voila! Take profit hit on Bitcoin versus Tether. Congratulations for those of you that took the trade last night. 115,089 pips. All right, that is win number 932 for the year. Brings us to 384,788 pips for the year. Now, we also have Bitcoin versus the United States dollar, which also hit take profit. Congratulations on that. Oops. Call out this first one first. Getting ahead of myself. And there's your take profit smashed on Bitcoin versus Tether. Again, congratulations for those of you that took it. Now we have Bitcoin versus the United States dollar for 108,976 pips. Another take profit. Here's your take profit. Bitcoin versus the United States dollar, 15-minute confirmation. Market execution buy for 108,976 pips. Again, congratulations for those of you that took the trade. And that's win number 933, which brings us to 3,954,764 pips. The rally is continuing on Bitcoin. If we get a break of the Asian range, we may get a sell back into current price because the true range is around this level right here. All right, so if that's the case, we need to take a look at the other trades that we're in. They're not as far in profit. Ethereum is about halfway there. So we'll park our way looking at that. So if you're in Ethereum, you can move your stop loss to entry price to lock in your profit. All right, 8:53 a.m. About 2 minutes from additional calls in the futures market. We're about 6 minutes from additional calls in the market proper. 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Very good session, multiple calls, over 230,000 pips, one massive day for us. We had a win on Great British Pound versus Australian dollar as well for 94 pips. So we have any order blocks in play here. And yes, there's a sell order block above current price. So it has to break through that to hit take profit. So we might not get Ethereum today. All right, we got a futures call on Mexican peso as a buy. Let's take a look. Consolidation, gray, aqua, blue. We don't want to enter that. It's probably going to hit the 200 EMA, reject, and then recover all that price action as a sell. So that is not a trade we're going to be taking. About 3 minutes left to go to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's another ding. Let's see what we got here. That is the euro to the South African rand. One hour. We also have the United States dollar to the We're in that trade already. And it is taking off nice and wonderful for us. Gonna go back to taking a look at Ethereum as we wait. All right, it's now 9 a.m. in the morning. No new signal calls have come out. We do have slightly positive movement on Ethereum, but nothing in terms of a breakout. Okay, that being the case, our next ticker for the futures market is at 9:10 a.m. Central Standard Time, about 6.5 minutes from now. The next ticker for the market proper is at 9:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, about 11 minutes from now. Ticket wins on Great British Pound. I wonder if any of these other ones are close. Well, that one shouldn't even be there anymore. We had take profit on that earlier this morning, and look how far it's fallen since then. That's crazy work. We have another take profit hit. This is Great British Pound versus Canadian dollar. Get that called out. That's for 86 pips. Congratulations for those of you that took the trade. Again, that's Great British Pound versus Canadian dollar. All right, another win. This is take profit smash on Great British Pound versus Canadian dollar. Again, congratulations for those of you that took that particular trade. It's for 86 pips. It makes win number 934 for the year. It's going to bring us to 3,954,850 pips year to date. And GBP knock, not quite there. We're close. Great British Pound to US dollar, that did hit for 30 pips. Congratulations to those of you that took the trade. Yet another one. Take profit smashed. And this is Great British Pound Sterling versus the United States dollar. You get that recorded. It's going to be win number 935 for the year. That brings us to 3,954,880 pips 1 year to date. See if we want any others. Oops. No, we were looking at this one earlier. Still not there yet. Very close on 6B1. Not quite there yet. We'll take a look at this one. About to be another 4-hour candle on the futures market, so that should get that in this next ticker. And we got a buy on NG1. We'll take a look at that shortly. We can come back to this. Let's take a look at NG1 and see what it's giving us. All right, so we got a 30-minute. Again, I don't really like all this bunched up action right here. And those EMAs are very close. I don't think this is a smart long to take just yet. I want to see better price action than that. All right, we're sitting on 6B1, the futures for the Great British Pound Sterling. That's close to take profit. We have about 3.5 minutes left to the next ticker for the market proper. 9:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right, looks like we might be getting some retracement of Great British Pound. Mm, Still nothing. We'll go back to looking at Ethereum instead. There's no movement here. Ethereum has moved a little bit, not much.
Hey, really small. Do you play basketball? Yeah. Oh, really? Let's see. Hey, really small. Do you play basketball? Yeah. Oh, really? Let's see. That's basketball. We were in the middle of this fluff. And from that big red house had seen some knees, some asses balls. I tell you what, I do everything. Anyway, all of you just look. All that being said, that boy just go to town with this movie. And it was on the Saturday. You okay? And he just struggling. I'm telling my stupid ass and told this boy, go hard. What did he do? He went and hard. Man, this would be wrong, except for the fact he accidentally in the world of love. Pulled all the way out. It would be really safe. Push back in. But when he did, he was a really injured down. And when he pushed in, it did not move into one that fits. It went into one that is not what it's because y'all got me open. But that being said, I say from the tip to about halfway through the shaft, we hit my wrist. And when I tell you that shit changed the way I look at life, it was a very life altering experience that let me shatter, broken, and unappeased. Like a adult. And he knew exactly what had happened because I'm pretty sure he could feel the fucking gates of hell around his neck. And he pulled out and he ran into the bathroom. Was sitting there searing in pain while my ass open. Did I tell you about someone got my ass open? Heels on my teeth. So good.
All right, so looks like we got an order filled on GBP CAD. We knew that already. Straight to take profit. Beautiful entry. Blue on the top, gray in the middle, aqua on the bottom. Cross of the 5 and 13 EMA. Entry on the next candle. Pull back in the price. Straight to take profit. The same setup we take over and over and over again. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Check. Wow. All right, so the entire book is busting. So take that all day, every day. Let's go. Bitcoin still hasn't moved. Okay, so it's saying order filled on New Zealand dollar versus Japanese yen. Let's take a look. That is going to be a buy. Got aqua, gray, blue. We have the cross of the EMAs. We're definitely entering that trade. Not sure why my pivots are not showing up, but that's fine. So price is likely going to withdraw a little bit. It'll paint itself off at 10 a.m., the last ticker, but we're going to enter that in 30 minutes. Bitcoin is still ticking off. Watch, starting to retrace. We may get another entry on the buy side to Bitcoin. If price does what I think it does, it's going to retrace all this action. If it breaks this low right here, this wick, and we get EMA across again, we can hit it for another buy. So we'd be looking for a break below 114,200 for another entry for a buy.
They don't teach you this in school, but the very first free black talent. Hey, baby.
All right. Got another alert on Australian dollar versus Japanese yen. So on the 15-minute, the original trades in profit, we're already in it, doing quite well. So congratulations for those of you that took that trade call earlier. We are kicking butt and taking names. Right, well, let's check around and see what we got going on here. Bitcoin is still falling. That's good. All right, it's got an order fill on Zen versus USD. Got back to the original entry price. Just did the same thing and F because of Bitcoin getting its butt kicked. So yeah, we definitely might end up getting that re-entry on Bitcoin. This is happening very fast. So again, we're looking for a break of about 114,200, another EMA cross, and another buy to recover this unhealthy price action right here. Looking at the same thing on Ethereum Classic. Looks like we got some sell-offs on UHD versus Hong Kong dollar as well. Not taking that because we have blue. It's consolidation below price. Have stop loss hits on ENS versus Tether. So we won't be entering that. Just fast movement everywhere. Okay. Closing United States dollar versus South African rand. So we'll park here. It's for 957 pips. We called that a little earlier in the live. It's one of the first calls that we called, actually. Ten minutes to the top of the hour. All right. Just under 4 minutes left to the top of the hour. Almost done for the last ticker of the day. We've done quite well today for both London and for New York. 200,000 plus pips for the day. Pretty much the entire week, and we still have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to go. For some of you, depending on what leverage you took, you probably made your entire month and don't have to trade anymore this month. All right, 10 o'clock. There goes the ticks again. We've got Australian dollar versus Japanese yen on the 1 hour. We're already in it. So that's going to hit take profit. It doesn't look like we're getting anything else. It would have been immediate. Hold on. United States dollar versus South African rand. Let's take a look at that. We're in the sell. Close, but not quite there yet. So I'll call this out the signals channels if it does hit take profit. We're done for today. I'll see you guys for London tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. Central Standard Time. Cheers. And yes, I do see your comments, Cash. You're welcome for the wins. I do want to solidify those points one more time. And you want me to look at United States dollar to Hong Kong dollar. So let's go take a look at that. 1 second. United States dollar, Hong Kong dollar. Okay, so it's called a sell, but you wouldn't enter this. The reason why is you have blue, aqua, gray. These are 2 points of major support for price. So there's resistance for price going down. If you look at your order blocks, you're coming from a sell order block, which is why this is selling off. But there's a significant buy order block before you get to take profit. So this is not going to get to where you want to go. So this isn't a trade that I would take. 1, it doesn't have the right EMA structure. And 2, because there's an order block below current price, it's just going to have price ranging. It's just not a smart trade. So I hope that helps you. And I did see your comments. So I am getting ready to log off for the day. I'll see you guys for tomorrow morning, 2 a.m. Central Standard Time for London, and then 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time for New York. Cheers.